If you're making flight plans for this summer, you might have visions of delays or missed connections, fights for compensation. Well, a short time ago, the Transport Minister called for public input on a much-anticipated passenger Bill of Rights. Now, the legislation, which actually sets out the structure, was passed this week, and now the government wants air travelers to tell them what needs to be in it. CBC's Nick Gamache is on the story. He joins me live from our nation's capital. What did Marc Garneau say, Nick?
Well, that this consultation period will be for 3 months, and I suspect more than a few people will have something to say about what they would like to see as part of that passenger Bill of Rights. They'll be able to do so through a new website, airpassengerprotection.ca. There will be passenger surveys in airports across the country. There will also be consultation with stakeholders. There will be sessions in 8 cities over the next couple of months, and there will be a call-in session as well for people who are not able to attend in person. And Transport Minister Marc Garneau talked a bit just a few minutes ago about why the government wanted to move on this front. Take a look.
When Canadians buy an airline ticket, it has to mean something. It's a contract for service, and it imposes obligations on both the airline and the passenger. We are going to make sure that airlines treat their passengers with the respect they deserve and live up to their commitments.
Now, the minister would not commit to any kind of specific timeline, said it was a matter of months, not years, for the rules to come into place. But when I was talking to someone in his office this morning, they had talked about hoping to have the rules in place by the end of the year. So that's what they're still hoping to do. It took a bit longer to get this bill through the Senate, so that's putting pressure on the timeline. But the hope was still, when I was talking to people this morning, that this would be in place by the time people travel for the holidays. And
what's the nitty-gritty? You know, after the consultation, Nick, what are the big issues they're expected to move on in this Bill of Rights?
Well, this idea to have clear standards that airlines have to follow, that people can refer back to when their flight is delayed or canceled, what airlines are supposed to do when they lose or damage bags, those sorts of things. Even when a plane has to sit on the tarmac, it would set a maximum length of time of 3 hours, and there would be clear guidelines as to what airlines have to provide during that time. So it's those sorts of things, and then clear compensations for when airlines break the rules. And the reason the government went the regulations route as opposed to putting this in legislation, it's because when they want to update the rules as time goes on, it will be easier, they say, to do so if it's in the form of regulations as opposed to being enshrined in law.